Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the SilverSilk and More channel. I am pretty stoked about today's project because we're going to be diving into using Capture Chain in a most unexpected and unique way, I think. This is, by the way, a live show. So I will be talking to my friends out there. If you've got any questions, I can see in the comments what those questions are, and I will do my best to answer them probably after I get done teaching, just because the way that my brain works, any little thing can get me off track. um, anyway, if you tuned in for the Great Beat Extravaganza event that happened a couple weeks ago, probably longer for those of you in the future that'll be watching this. We did a trend report, and part of that trend report was seeing that long earrings, big earrings, statement earrings are on the move right now. And I wanted to sort of play into that with these designs and construct some earrings that were, I don't know, not your expected techniques in a way. I've always thought of silver silk as sort of a textile that you can stitch on, or sew through, or wire wrap around, or just do really anything with. And so I sort of wanted to dive back into my love of bead weaving and sew some stuff onto it. And I thought I'd do that with you guys here. Real quick, I'm going to say hi to some friends out there. Miss Sarah is tuning in, and Sherry. Let's see, who else we got? Hi, Sherry. Jennifer, can't have a class without you, of course. Hi, Jennifer. Miss Victoria and Sandy, hello, ladies. And Susan, good morning to you. It's a little later than morning for me over here now. But I'm still sort of just waking up with a nice cup of coffee and stuff. So, hey, that's all good stuff, right? Yeah, just keep the comments pouring in if you guys don't mind doing a quick share to your friends groups or creative groups out there. And also don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All those things. I don't know where that came from. I'm just gonna say hey. Okay, so we are going to flip the camera around before any more emojis come up. And let's just take a look at these earrings first of all. These are really long statement piece earrings. However, if long earrings are not your thing, you can obviously sort of cut this down on the amount of earring that's here. And I can show you guys how to do that. In fact, the sample that I'm going to be making with you guys is for a short earring. So you'll get two different style ideas with this. And if earrings is not your jam at all, you actually get two end caps in the kit. The kit that I have is limited edition. I'm not going to replenish it. So the last few that are left, the lucky people that get to have this design will be able to make exactly these pieces. But you can grab a couple of single strand end caps and make this easily into a bracelet because of its length. The technique essentially works the same exact way. To its core, we'll just be stitching directly onto the capture chain in every direction using these amazing flower sequins. So that's the project we're going to make. And in order to do this the most methodically and the most teaching-esque way that I could possibly do it, you guys know that I love the graphics, and I'm going to sort of lean on those to help guide this whole class. Let's go over our tools first. And once I sort of get into the groove of stitching, I will pop back over into the comments to see if you guys have any questions as we're moving forward. But bear with me here as I go through the tools real quick. You'll need a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of round nose pliers, a pair of cutters, a pair of wide nose pliers. And by the way, you will automatically see that 3 of my tools are from Weber's, one of my favorite companies for tools. Not only are they economic price-wise, but they're insanely strong. And very high-end looking too, mind you, which all of that stuff, aesthetics, is important to me. You guys know that. But it's also, again, a matter of usability and the strength that these pliers can give you. and how much they'll last over time. So I love Weber's, and it is a woman-owned company distributor, weberstools.com. So I highly recommend checking it out. The cutters are from Lindstrom. It's a very powerful cutter. They've lasted so long, I think over 12 years now, and have cut through really terrible things that I have put it through and still yet remain sharp. So I have these on the go, and then we've got our beading needles. Do not be afraid of beading needles. It's just another type of medium, and this is an opportunity for some light bead weaving. Nothing heavy, nothing crazy stitching wise, nothing to memorize or anything like that. It's just going to be a little bit of simple stitching. There are beading needles out there that have a large eye. And I believe there is a company, Beadalon probably makes it, that have like the easiest way that you can possibly thread a needle, which is just to loop it through the big eye and start stitching. So within the kit, though, at least this is what I'm showing as the example of size 10 or size 12 beading needles, which they do have a small eye, but if you're using Wildfire or Fireline, you can pinch the tip of your thread flat so that it'll easily, string right into the needle. And then, of course, a beading mat, which I've got here with me. And then as far as it says necklace materials, which I'm sorry, that's a typo. It should say earrings materials. For the earrings, you will need 1 foot of capture chain that looks like this. Having said that, I've already sort of chopped this into pieces for our demo today, but this is what it looks like, and this is a product that I make. It is one of 6 or 7 different SilverSilk lines of chain that I make. What makes this capture chain is that it is capturing a ball chain core inside of the knitted sock. So if you kind of turn it on its side, you can see that there is a filler ball chain within it. And this one happens to be gold on gold, so solid gold. I'm a huge gold fanatic. I wanted to stitch directly on gold, but I have got so many different colors of capture chain that will definitely make excellent earrings or bracelet or a necklace, depending on how you want to stitch it together and wear for the summer. So yeah, it takes 6 needles. It is machine stitched to perfection. If you're familiar with what the Viking knit weave is, with working with wire specifically, this sort of is the shortcut to that. It's not the same exact stitch per se, but it is sort of taking the work out of having to create the chain from wire from scratch. And so, our tagline is "We knit, you create," and so we're creating those shortcuts for you to be able to use mixed media as quickly as possible and get that sense of instant gratification, but also that intricacy of and high-end looking designer pieces. And so that's sort of the core mission of mine for this company, is to bring you guys the absolute best high quality products that are so cool and fun to work with. And hence why I think of it as a textile, because you can really do anything with it. Okay, moving on to some earring hooks, which I've got here out with me. Pretty standard. We've got single strand end caps. These are intended to work specifically with capture chain. Believe it or not, all of my findings that are stamped with SilverSilk specifically have 5 or 6 layers of plating, which is unbelievable and really a testament to like how long it'll last through time. It is tarnish resistant, and they are high quality polished and ready to go. These, you simply just insert the chain and crimp it. You can see that there's little teeth on the inside. I love these guys. They come in 6 different colors, and they are the most exquisite, easy end caps that one will ever need in their lives. I know I'm probably overselling it anyways to most of you who have used them, but they just make life so much easier. And you don't need glue to really use them at all either, which is fantastic. You simply just crimp it and it's ready to go. takes the complication out of cord ends, truly. So you'll need a couple of those. And then same thing with my terminators. While these aren't stamped with the Silver Silk logo quite yet, I'm going to actually have to figure that one out with my factory that I work with. Um, these work the same way. One thing I did forget to mention is that these are a brass core material, which basically means that they're going to be a very tough metal to mark or nick or do anything, to destroy it, basically, is what I'm saying. It's going to be difficult to destroy. Some of the other metals that are out there that have other types of metal mixed in with it, or if it's pewter, it's really soft, doesn't really stand the test of time over too long, and it tarnishes very quickly. And I will say that my findings sort of are, they're put to the test to make sure that that doesn't happen over time. Um, Anyway, going back to what this item is, it's a terminator, which basically means that it doesn't have a loop at the top, and it's used to cap off the ends of silver silk in the most clean and polished way. So that when you have, for example, the end of an earring, which is what we're doing today, we're going to have just a nice clean finish on the capture chain at the end of the earring. And in fact, I can show you directly here. It's just a really great way to cap it off. And the length of it is 9 millimeters, but I've also got a 4 millimeter size. So it's basically half the size of this. If you're looking for something a little bit more visually lighter weight looking. What else? We got some jump rings, which I don't have with me, but I can dig some out later. And then we've got the 4 inches of craft wire. I went ahead and cut a couple of inches to begin with. This is from Softflex, and it's 26 gauge craft wire in gold. So I have that out ready to go. We've got some top drilled gemstones. These are green chalcedony, and they are the most beautiful things I have ever seen. They're not even green. They're sort of like a luminescent, like teal color, and only found in the kit, of course, but I didn't pick up too many from Tucson, and I sort of kicked myself for not picking up more because they're absolutely stunning and perfect for this color combination because we're using such colorful sequins and a way to just pop out that bright teal color with these gemstones. Now, of course, you could use anything else with this particular earring design. Just keep in mind the weight because you don't want it to be too weighty for an earring. What else? We've got some seed beads, which look like this, just size 11 seed beads. You can use any color you want with this. Definitely something to either compare or contrast with the sequins that are also being used in this, which are every color of the rainbow and every color of the flowers on this beautiful earth. So that sort of covers the materials for this entire project. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is figure out the length of our design. So as I had mentioned, you can make this as long as you want. In a standard capture chain spool, you get 3 feet. However, that's kind of a long earring. So you'll probably not want any more than 6 inches is probably what I would recommend for a really dramatic shoulder duster. However, I'm going to work with a shorter length for you guys today, just so you could see the difference. So this is about 2.5 inches, give or take. And by the time that we add in our terminator and end cap, as you see there on the right side, it'll be about 3 inches. All right, so let's grab our length of capture chain and our single strand end cap as well as a terminator. You'll need also to grab your wide nose pliers. This has been dipped in a product called Tool Magic. The tips have been. And so once it dries, it creates a nice rubberized coating at the end. And you can basically grip any of your findings with ease. You can crimp down on your finding and not worry about it getting scratched if you're crimping a little too hard. More importantly, I think for me, it's been the grip that's been the most helpful because it's easy to have it slide off of any other type of plier that doesn't have any sort of grip to it. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to stick in the capture chain. You'll run into maybe a situation where the capture chain isn't quite fitting in all the way. So let me show you a quick trick to that. You can grab your chain nose pliers and insert the nose into the actual finding, and then just press out on the handles to open it up just a smidge more. 1 to 2 millimeters opening it up is going to make a world of difference for crimping it, and so much easier. And you can see it precisely how it goes right into the end cap there. So then you just grab your wide nose pliers and give it a good squish. There we go. And voila, you don't need any glue or other tools to make this crimp work. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side with our terminator. And really what I want to make sure is that my terminator is facing the same direction as my crimp. So what I don't want to happen is have my terminator's seam, because there is a seam. Once you close it, you'll see that seam right here. You don't want that seam to be on the side. It's gonna not look intentional. And for me, the details are in the intent of the final look, right? So what I'm gonna do is make sure that I put my base here out on the ground. I'm going to, or my working surface, and I'm going to make sure that my terminator is lined up according to the front side of my end cap. And when I'm ready, I can then crimp it in place, and then everything is lining up perfectly, and you can see the seams are now on the side. Okay? Those little attention to details, I'm telling you, that makes a world of difference. So I've got my cute little earring base all finished. And now it's that point in time where I can thread my needle, which I've done ahead of time. For you guys that are out there that are using the needles in the kit, I can demonstrate how to do this real quickly for you. Just grab your chain nose pliers and then just kind of run it along the end of your thread there. The thing with Fireline and or Wildfire is that it's got sort of a coating on it. I don't know if it's wax. It might be something else. Who knows? I think it's wax. But what it is it makes it more pliable like wire, so that whenever you are, as I just demonstrated, squishing it with pliers, it'll actually flatten out that end pretty nicely. And then all you do is just kind of squeeze it between your index and thumb into it, put your needle right over the thread, and then just push it forward, and it should hopefully magically work. Now that takes practice. I've been doing that particular technique for over like 15 years. So it might take you guys a little longer to master it, but I have faith in you guys. All right, let's continue on to step 2. What we're going to do is find a spot right underneath, and it doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be face up with the logo or anything at this point. The sequins will be stitched in every direction. And so really what you're looking for is that you just want to be directly underneath the end cap that you just put on. And I'm just going to stitch all the way through. Okay. I'm going to leave myself with about a 3-inch, give or take, amount of thread. And by the way, the thing that I forgot to talk about is how much thread to actually put on your needle. There's a comfort level for everybody. Some people can work with yards of thread at a time. Luckily, this project does not require yards of thread. Thank goodness, because I don't think I could keep track of that much thread. But my recommendation would be to use about 18 to 24 inches at a time. And that is all the length that you'll need for, the longest earring, which is the full 6 inches that you could possibly make. And so what I'm working with is probably closer to 18 inches for a short earring. Now, keep in mind that because we're also tying it off and leaving a little bit of extra thread there, the 18 inches will then suddenly turn into 15 inches. So yeah, just a little bit of math there for you. But Once you have that little bit of tail thread figured out, all you're going to do is tie a square knot twice. Okay, and then you'll tie a surgeon's knot, which I'll show you what that means. We're going to do an overhand knot once, and then twice, and then pull tight. And that's going to ensure that the thread is not going to move, pull, come out, or anything. And what we can do for now is just ignore that tail thread. And now we've got a really great anchored point to work with. So I'm going to grab now my sequence. So we're at stage 3 here. Oh, well, there's the tied knot for you. Stage 4, which is to pick up a sequin. You can pick up any one at a time, or you could even use beads if you want to. Use, I don't know, press flowers or something. Kind of works the same way, but in this case, sequins. The most colorful and lightweight material, mind you, which is perfect for earrings, as well as a seed bead. And then go ahead and drop it down onto the end of where your anchor, the end of your thread where your anchor point is. And then I'm just going to go back through the sequin, and then I'm going to just sew through the capture chain like that. And that is the only technique that you will ever need to know for this design, because that is what you're going to be repeating now over and over again. So let's do this a few times together. We're going to pick up a sequin, pick up a bead, go through the sequin, and go through the chain. You can pick spots on your chain, and you can also angle your needle to come out in a different spot. This is really where you get to decide if you're going to have a design that's going to be really compact with sequins, or you are going to, if you're going to make something that is a little bit more loose and minimalist, like stitching on it. Let's just say. I'm actually going through and reading some of these comments as I am stitching this together. Zakia says, "Hey, Nile." Hi, friend. So good to see you on here. Miss Susan over from YouTube. I love these sequins. So pretty. They are, aren't they? I absolutely dig them. Hi, Teresa and Greta are in the house, our Silky ambassadors from the SilverSilk Silkies Facebook group, our user community, and a place for us to show off our fabulous designs. We hope you'll come and join us over on Facebook for that group. Alrighty, I am returning back to my graphics here, and I'm going to continue on with our stitchery. So this is what we're looking at and what we'll be doing. So let's continue stitching on a few more, and I'm going to show you how to move along into your capture chain so that you're not sort of stuck in stitching in one spot. Now, what you can do is go through your sequins, but what I'm going to do is now completely angle my capture chain vertically and stitch through several of those knits at a time. So I'm really like drawing my needle down along the chain. And the black thread, don't worry about it, because it's actually just going to disappear altogether within the chain itself, which is a really nice feature, isn't it? And that's how you sort of go down into the chain until you get it nice and full as you start to stitch all this together. Okay. We'll do a few more together, and then I'm going to show you guys how to end the thread. So again, I'm just going to kind of give myself a nice little side stitch there within the capture chain, and continue on with the randomness and fun of all of it. I love how these sequins just add so much instant sparkle, especially to capture chain, and I can imagine this on all kinds of different colorways too. I mean, sequins themselves, like, can you imagine how many colors are out there of that? So it could get to be completely a rabbit hole of creativity for sure. Another way to add on to the hoarding, right? Y'all out there know what I mean. Okay, nothing to it. So I'm just, again, just sort of stitching, avoiding poking myself as I'm stitching this. Oops, let's get back here on camera. All right. So that's sort of it for the stitching. I like to leave pockets of space because if I'm going to be using capture chain, I do want to make it a little intentional and known that it's there instead of just completely filling it in all the way. Otherwise, kind of what's the use of using capture chain, right? Part of its beauty is that you get to see this beautiful, intricate chain behind the stitching. And so I recommend using pockets of space and just drawing the needle down even farther along than you would normally do it, and then creating those stitching, the sequence stitching around it. So you could see I went really way down into the capture chain there, and then simply just continue picking up and moving along with the stitching. Easy peasy. Just like that. So you just kind of go all the way around, and then eventually you'll get it all full. And it'll look something like this, thanks to TV magic. Also, I did this ahead of time. But isn't it just absolutely stunning? This is like the small version of the earring, like the baby version, but still very, very effective, right? So let's end this little thread here together. All right. So when you've stitched your last sequence, which we'll do that together, we'll stitch our last one. Okay, and I'm just going to go down this direction. I'm going to stitch back through the knit. I'm going to basically go through just the knit by itself without any sequins or beads or anything on it. And let me go ahead and skip down here to the appropriate step. There we go. We are creating a small loop with our thread. You don't want to pull it tight because then you'll lose that loop. Okay, what we're going to do now is, I know it's a little hard to see with the mat behind me, but we're going to go through that loop with our needle. And we're going to gently pull it all together until it becomes tightened and around that capture chain as such. Okay, and what I would advise doing is doing this about 3 times. So you do one, we did 1, this is going to be 2. And then 1 more time. It doesn't have to be the same exact knits. It just has to be within the same space. Alrighty. Once you've done that 3 times, what I'm going to do is grab my needle and I'm going to go up through the capture chain for about 2 beads of the ball chain. You can do as many or as few. I wouldn't recommend any less than 2 though, of course. But really just like an inch, a half inch is probably more than sufficient enough. The earrings don't have a lot of weight to carry, and so really I'm just trying to work to hide the thread tail. Once you've done that, then you can go in and use your cutters to just snip off the extra thread there. And if you remember, we had that tail thread in the beginning. So at this point, what I want to do is pass that through the chain itself too. The thing is, that's going to be a little difficult to do with that short of a length of thread. So what I recommend doing is grabbing your needle without any thread on it. And I'm going to preemptively thread my needle through, basically sew my needle through the chain first. And then I'm going to go in and thread my needle. So the same way as we did before, you can grab your chain nose pliers, kind of make that tip nice and flat and able to be inserted right into that loop of the needle. And then you simply just pull it right through. Not a care in the world about anything once that happens. And then you can simply cut that little piece of thread off. There we go. And you have constructed your entire earring with ease. Talk about how easy that is. Now, really, the hardest part is probably threading your needle, to be honest. It's not an easy feat, I know. But again, there are needles out there that have that large eye that's in the middle of the needle that you can easily thread right through it. Having said all that, let's go ahead and finish out our earring. And let me take a look at the comments here real quick as I'm showing you guys this. Maria says, love, fantastic. Big thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you, Maria. And then we've got Miss Sherry saying, so sweet. Donna says, great tip. Thank you, Donna. All right. And looks like no big questions. So we'll keep moving on with the tutorial as we go here. So, okay, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to show you guys how to wire wrap that little briole. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Yep. Okay. So I have my little drop, gorgeously green or teal. It's one of those colors. I don't know which one it is. Something in the middle. I am going to take my 2.5, 3 inches of wire. It can be longer, it can be shorter. We're actually not going to end up using all of this anyways, but I've got a pretty good length of wire there, 26 gauge. I'm going to crisscross them right at the top there. Okay, just like that. You can see that my drop does not have a big pointy area like the one in the example does. And that's okay. This will work regardless of that. And after I've done the crisscrossing at the top, I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and to the top one, I'm going to use the round nose pliers tip to create that small little loop at the top. That should look like this. Okay. Now, here's where the fun trick is, because what you're going to do is take that wire and pinch it behind the drop. Just like that. Okay. You'll take the opposite wire and you're going to start to wrap that around the neck of the loop. And that's what creates your fabulous little wrapped breeze. I like that. I'm going to start calling them breeze. Kind of like the cheese. Anyway, it could be messy. It could be coiled clean. Mine tends to kind of be somewhere in the middle of all of that. And you can either trim off this extra wire, or what I do is I kind of wrap it around a couple times back into my wrap there. And you could even take it to the top if you want to. We're just going to take it home and do a completely messy wrap here and be okay with it. We have all that extra wire to work with. Might as well use it up. Okay, just make sure to hide that little end piece in. The last thing we wanted to do is poke anyone. So I've got my beautiful little wrap made with ease. And really the last step is just to connect all these elements together. I had mentioned that I don't have a jump ring on hand, but I do have the example earring here finished, which I did attach everything with a jump ring, and I was ready to wear these. Out the door I go with my long or my short earrings. Let me flip the camera around and show you guys the length difference. And I bet you will have no problems customizing this design to your liking. So again, the trend this year is the long earring. And you know what? There is nothing stopping you from making asymmetrical earrings too. But you could see the length difference, which for some people, this is still a long earring and it still looks pretty dang good. And that is my tutorials, ladies and gentlemen that are watching. I am scrolling back through the comments to see if I missed anything. Sandy says they are so beautiful. Thank you, Sandy. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Stephanie is asking, how do I download the pattern? For those of you that grabbed the limited edition kit, I did have a digital pattern for it. There is a website for you to download that pattern from, Steph. I will send that to you via our text group right after the video, in fact. And I don't see, oh, is there, let's see. I'm not seeing any outstanding questions as I'm scrolling through this. But you know what, you guys, if you have any watching the show, or for those of you in the future that are watching this, you can leave a comment in the YouTube video, and I will see that comment and comment back with my response to it. And if you don't mind giving this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it and enjoyed my teaching method. That's really important for me and the health of the channel. It lets people know that the world of SilverSilk is out there doing fun things. So don't forget to do all those fabulous things. Let's see. All right. Well, that's all I got for you today. And I guess any other questions and fun stuff will be had in the SilverSilk Silkies Facebook group. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Mwah. I'll have another tutorial planned for you guys. I'm sure it'll be equally creative and fun. And have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.